We find ourselves in Prague, capital city of the Czech Republic, and during our first days here in the city, we started finding some differences between our culture back in Lleida, back in Catalonia in Spain, and here in the Czech Republic. So our first days at school were a bit curious for us because we found out that some kids went on their own at school. This is usual at Spain as well, but we found out that kids at very young age, like 8, 7 years old, started going on their own to school. So this was a bit surprising for us. So we started researching about this. At the beginning, we thought that it was because we find ourselves in a very quiet neighborhood here in Prague. But after some days, when we were going to the city center, we found that some kids, like 8, 9 years old, were in some of the main train and metro stations here in the Prague, crowded of tourists and locals, very crowded stations, and some young kids were on their own in that stations. So we wanted to make some research and get deeper in that topic, so our project will be about it.
Now we find ourselves in a tram stop. As you can see, it is indicated by a type of big red post. Bus stops are indicated the same way. In this post, we can find some useful information for the users. We can clearly see the name of the stop, which lines go through this stop, and the timetables, depending on the days of the week. All these informations are easily understandable for anyone, even for kids that use these public transports on their own.
And now we will proceed to show you one real case. It's the case of an 8-year-old girl that every day takes the metro and the tram on her own to go to school and go back home. We will go across her daily trip to school to show you the distance and the time spent to go to Naslovan school. We are in Moldavska metro station, located in Prague 7th district, and here is where an 8-year-old girl daily journey to school begins. Prague is a city where public transport is widely promoted. All of them, tram, metro, bus, work constantly, efficiently, and are very easy to understand and to use. This is what encourages families to let their kids use these public transports on their own. Furthermore, kids can use all these public transports without any charge, which makes it even more attractive for families. And that's why families are not worried when their kids have to use this kind of public transports on their own.
Finally, we are at the school. It was 10 to 12 when we left home, and now it's quarter past 12, so it took us only 25 minutes to get to school, and here we are.
This girl's routinary trip consists of 4 different stages. First of all, she has a short 2-minute walk from her house to the metro station. In there are metros going across every 3 minutes. She must get down after 3 stops in Latby, and in that same station, she can take a tram that will take her to school. After that, she has one more short walk of about 2 minutes to get to Naslovans. Prague is a city with an incredibly well organized public transport network. This network consists of three metro lines distinguished by three colors: red, green, and yellow. These three lines extend all over the city from one end to the other and cross themselves in the city center, where the most touristic and crowded places are. All those retreats where you can't get by metro are covered with an effective bus and tram network that spreads all over the city. Citizens and tourists can use these public transports by buying tickets or cards. These are very economic. For example, a 3 months card costs what equals to 15 euros. Kids under 6 can use them freely, and kids from 6 to 16 have a 50% discount. The metro stations are designed in a very intuitive way. You can see the line color and the station name all over the place. As well, the platform is placed in the middle of the two railways, so the access is the same for both directions. Once in the platform, you can clearly see indicators of the metro directions, so it's very easy to interpret. Apart from investigating about these children's independence at a global level, we wanted to know some citizens' opinions about this topic. So we decided to interview some of our school's teachers who had children, and these are their opinions about this. When doing the different interviews, all the teachers explained us their own personal thoughts and experiences as parents. All of them agree on the point that it doesn't look like anything strange to see kids alone on the streets or using the public transport. They even explain us that their own kids do so. An interesting fact related to that is that kids tend to have their own mobile phones at early ages, such as 9, which was very surprising for us. As well, they believe that children are mature enough to have this kind of responsibilities. Furthermore, the efficiency of the public transport encourages parents and kids to use this. During the interview, we asked them to compare the children's situation to their own one as a kids. They said that it's quite different, as the public transport has improved a lot during the last years, and now it's much more encouraging. We found out that the metro wasn't built until the 1970s, although the tram started working much earlier, so they used the tram or walked to the different places during their childhood. Finally, they all agree that Prague is not a dangerous city for young kids, and so they are not worried for them. Instead, here in Catalonia, even though we don't live in dangerous cities, we still worry if our kids have to move around the streets on their own. After carrying out all the research related to our project, our final goal was to see which of the objectives proposed at the beginning of the study could we achieve. During the research, we found some obstacles that prevented us from reaching all of our goals. Now, we will proceed to explain the conclusions of our Meet the Globe project, taking into account all the initial objectives. Not only through researching, as well with our personal experiences during the time spent on the city, we have been able to realize how kids take part into the city routine, as you can see them anywhere around Prague, nearly any time of the day, and usually in groups. For reaching this objective, we had such an important barrier in our way: the language. Our idea was to interview the school's history teacher, but we couldn't carry it out because he only spoke Czech, and it was so difficult for us to communicate with him. However, we changed our plans, and we interviewed some English teachers from the school. These interviews gave us some essential information, but we believe that this objective hasn't been fully achieved. The differences are evident. Only by walking around the streets you can realize how differently the Czech and Catalan society are organized. Focusing on kids, we can clearly say that Czech ones have a much higher level of responsibilities and independence, as they have their own autonomous routines, quite the opposite to the Catalan ones, who depend a lot on their parents. We included some audiovisual content from our own creation in this project, so we can say this objective is fully accomplished. After analyzing our initial objectives, we have extracted the final conclusions of our Meet the Globe project. Our main conclusion is that Czech kids have a mostly earlier maturity than Catalan kids, due to the role they play in society. As well, Prague is an ideal city for it, as its public transport network makes it easier for kids to be much more independent. This level of maturity makes the society be confident on their kids, which increases these levels even more. To sum up, as Carl Menninger said, what's done to kids, they will do to society.